My ink is good and dry now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some color on here. So right now we just have black and white, just in a little bit of that blue pencil coming through. So on my palette here, I have some acrylic gouache color, Holbein's acrylic gouache put out. I don't have any white on the palette. That's one thing you'll notice. But I do have a couple of blues, 2 yellows, and 2 reds, a warm and cool of each. And I've got some big flat brushes out here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some color down on my board that's going to add a little bit of vibrancy to the pastel. It's going to peek through the pastel. Now the thing I want to be careful of is I don't want to put too much color down that's going to take away from the tooth of my board. So I can still feel the tooth here. I haven't really affected it much with the ink. So I'm going to thin this down to a watercolor-like consistency and just put a little bit of color down here. What I'd like to do is pick areas of color that are going to contrast the pastel. So let's take the sky, for example. I have a very light blue up in the sky. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look across from the blue on the color wheel and use some type of orange. Now, it sounds a little strange, but what's going to happen is that's going to give a nice pop of color for the blues that come in later. Now, if I try to do that with pastel, and I laid the blue on top of the pastel, what would happen is the blue powder and the orange powder would mix, and we'd end up with a brown or a dark gray. So I'm really thinning it down, but because the color is so concentrated, it's still pretty intense, okay? But there's a lot of water in here, and that's why I have this paper towel ready to catch any drips that might happen. A couple just about to happen there. If it does drip, I'm not going to let it spoil my day. Now, I don't have to do this everywhere. I picked this gray board because I like that color, and I don't mind if it shows through. If you want a color other than gray, the pastel board comes in sand, green, and white as well. So you can color the board. If you get the white board, you can make it any color you want. So when you look at this, it's sort of hard to imagine that we're going to end up with something like that eventually, but it will happen. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to a slightly smaller brush, and I'm going to take a look at some of the trees out here. I have a cluster of green trees in the middle, through the middle of the painting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some flashes of both of these reds, the orangey red and the crimson, which is a more purplish red. And I'm just going to put little hints of this color. I'll make sure you have plenty of water on there. And what this will do is give me some little surprises peeking through the greens when I put the green pastel on here. And again, this red is not going to mix with my green, so it's not going to neutralize the rich green pastel color that I put in later. You can probably hear the scratching sound. That's the coarseness, the roughness of that board. Okay, now the floor here, the ground, is very orange, and it's going to be fun to put a little bit of blue down there. Let that peek through the oranges. So we're ending up with a negative here, a color negative almost, if you can imagine it. That bright blue. What I'm going to do is take my paper towel and soften that a little bit. And then I'm going to look around and see where I might also have that color. I've got it up here. So put a little bit up there, move it around a little bit. And subtly, way up high, I'm going to thin it down, and I'm going to go a little more of a green blue up there. So it's looking pretty crazy. But have faith, we'll make it work. Got this spiky plant down here that's a sagey greenish color. I think it'd be fun to put a little bit of red in there. And then maybe a little bit of red violet too. Put some of that on the tree. And I'm going to mix up a violet and throw that into some of my shadows. So take my ultramarine and my crimson, makes a beautiful purple. We'll put that into some of these shadows here. Again, use lots of water because we don't want to diminish the tooth. So it looks a little strange right now. If yours looks strange too, you've done it right. And when we come back, we're going to start working with pastel. It's going to be fun.